So going to that day, was it a normal day?
Oh,
for you,
yeah.
Heather? I mean,
Yeah, fairly run-of-the-mill day. I mean, we weren't holding a lot of calls. I mean, that was the only one left. It was that call. So,
tell me about the emotion you felt during and after. I mean, did you feel like you had done your job? Or?
I'm human. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I said, I could have done something more. I wish I could have done something more. And they had, I don't know, how many times did you have to tell me I didn't do anything? I mean, it is hard. And I'm not gonna say I froze, because I didn't. I know I didn't. But you can't help it once it's all said and done.
To question yourself. How are you now?
It's 3 weeks. What? 3 weeks and a few days now.
Before we.
It still hits you that they're gone. I mean, you worked. I almost had the exact same shift as Jeff. So I mean, you talk about that man would always help us regardless. I mean, he was just a powerhouse. He liked helping everybody and making everybody laugh. He loved making all of us laugh. If we were having a bad day, he liked to, make it better for us. And, I mean, it was all of us. It wasn't just, specific ones or his friends. And Dave, I mean, he'd always pop up and ask if you were his dispatcher for the day, and he'd get all excited. And if he wasn't, even if you weren't his dispatcher, he'd try to make you laugh. So, I mean, two great guys. Loved working with them, so...
Talk to me a little bit about you. Were you on the night this happened? And where were you working at?
I was setting the sheriff radios. So, the way our radio system works, when you broadcast when something goes wrong, it goes out over both PD and sheriff. And after the first yell, you could have heard a pin drop in the room. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't that quiet, but that's what it seemed like.
You said after the first
cry for help, there was just shots fired, and the address was broadcast, and then we got a better idea of what was going on after the second broadcast. Of what that there was actually shots fired and officers involved. That was the second one. The first one was just a location and shots fired, and like I said, it seemed like the radio was quiet, but I'm sure it really wasn't. But
what went through your mind at that time?
Nothing really. You don't have time for anything to go through your mind, really. You just have to do at that point in time. I remember calling for the ambulance. I heard other people in the room yelling, I've got this, I've got that. I mean, you find out what a well-oiled machine it is in there when something like this happens, because, like I said, there is no time to think. Everybody just did. And there was no, can you do this, can you do that? Everybody was just, this is done, this is done, this is done. I mean, and looking at, from a dispatch standpoint, like I said, there's so many years of experience from somebody that's just new to old that, like I said, it affects each of us equally, as far as, how it impacts us, with the feeling of, it's our job to keep the officers safe. And when that doesn't happen, each of us, walks out here with a little bit of a, oh my gosh, what could I have done different? What can I have, have done better? But what is given back, like I say, like the support to Lacey from, myself or other people that have been there longer is what kind of binds us all a little bit tighter. I mean, it's just proof that this job is not just people sitting behind the phone, answering phones, answering the radios. We have our own little family here, and that extends on either side of these walls. If something happens to somebody, it's like, having a family member that's lost, or so.